I wanted to start off today by just telling a story from what happened at Salt this week. I thought it was really funny. I hope you guys find it funny as well. I was lining up the kids to get lunch. These are like the 5 to 8 year olds. They're like little munchkins. And lining them up just along that wall there so that they could go grab lunch. And there was so much noise going on and so much chaos and all this kind of stuff that it sounds bad, but like I was filtering the noise out a little bit, so I wasn't fully paying attention. But I did hear this. I did hear a kid go, "Jordan, are you married?" And I didn't answer because I was too busy. And then instantly, there was this little kid that goes, "Dude, of course he is. Look at his beard." And then the kid replies, "Oh, right, yeah, that's true." Anyway, I thought it was a little funny story that I could share with you guys before we get into the heavy stuff. Yeah, as you guys know, Salt's been crazy this week, and it's been hectic. But it's actually been really cool as well because just what Stephen was talking about last week about just loving people, I've been able to see that this week in the way the kids and the leaders have actually been loving on each other massively. I think we've had probably, I don't know, about 30 or 40% of the Salt guys or Salt kids that came and joined us this week were new. And for them to come into this space and to come in and just get involved straight away and to see the kids that have been coming for a really long time, loving on them in such an awesome way, and the leaders as well. It was cool to see Stephen's message being lived out in that way, right? Which has been really cool. And then this week, what I want to chat to you guys about is connection, okay? And we saw tons of that. I can tell you stories. Georgia can tell you stories as well, but we'll keep that for another time because it's kind of weird. But it'll be all good. But today, what I want to chat to you guys about this idea about connection, all right? And I want to chat to you guys about this idea about genuine connection, genuinely connecting with people in our community, the people that we work with, and family and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think the best way that we connect is through food, all right? I think, yeah, come on now. Come on. I think food is the best way that we connect, all right? And so when I was younger and we were living in Mongolia, my parents would host all the time, just on the weekends and all that kind of stuff. And I remember like an entire month, every weekend we would have people coming over, whether it was workmates, whether it was just friends, whether it was family friends and all that kind of stuff. And it was awesome, okay? And before Facebook Messenger, before Facebook groups or anything like that, the way that you would go and invite someone is face-to-face, okay? And I love that, and that is scary, okay? Thinking about it now, you wouldn't do that because it's just like, what if they say no to my face? Then it's just embarrassing. I don't know what to do. It's easier just Facebook message them, right? But before, it was all about the face-to-face invite, all right? And so what would normally happen is my parents or people that were saying, hey, we're throwing this party, like invite people, all that kind of stuff, would go and face-to-face invite people to the dinner or to the lunch or whatever was going on. And then what would happen is people would come at whatever time we said to come. And there would be like drinks and snacks and all that kind of stuff, and you'd chat and you'd have conversation. And throughout the entire evening, there was conversation, all right? The entire evening, just constant chatter. And it was awesome. Loads of laughter. If there were other kids around, me and my brothers would often play with the kids and be like, yeah, this is great. Imagine, I don't know, like a 10-year-old Jordan. I could show you photos one day. It'll be funny. But yeah, we'd play around. And then, reflecting back on these moments, very rarely do I remember conversations at these dinner parties having to do with work, okay? Very rarely did it have to do with anything that was going on in the workplace or anything like that. It was genuinely just to connect. It was just to catch up about how life was going, what's going on with the family, how are we traveling, how's the family back home, because we were living in Mongolia at the time, and there were other people like expats that were living there as well, so we're finding out how their families are going. Very rarely would it be about work, okay? And then obviously mom and dad would make this mean feast, okay? And then we'd food for days. Many, many, many times I would be like, man, I'm not walking anywhere, I'm rolling somewhere. It's not happening. But the reason I love these moments was obviously first because of the food, okay? But the secondly is because it was actually such an amazing opportunity to connect. It was such an awesome opportunity to see adults and kids come together and connect. And not because we wanted something from each other, not because we wanted to talk politics about work, not because of any agenda whatsoever, but it was just to connect. And so I love that. And it was such an awesome time. But as I've grown up, I think connecting and connection with people has evolved a little bit, right? It's changed a little bit. Because in some ways, the evolution has been amazing. It's been awesome. It's actually been fantastic. Because we've had things like Messenger, for example, that have come up. And I can actually, in New Zealand, in this time zone, chat to my friends in Thailand that are doing life, and I can catch up with them. Heck, I can even see their face. And I can see it in real time, too. And I think that is awesome. It's fantastic. Instagram is another thing that is absolutely brilliant. Because I can see what my friends are getting up to, the adventures that they're having, and everything that comes with it. And even that I can chat with them, right? And I can see real life, like stories that are happening through the Instagram stories. I think it's awesome. But on the other hand, even though the ways in how we connect has grown and has evolved, connection has changed a lot. It's changed, and I personally don't think it's changed in the best way, right? And I think that we say that we want genuine connection, right? And then sometimes what happens is we don't really prioritize it. Okay? You know, we say that genuine connection is a priority for us, and then we actually say, oh, well, what often happens is we start pushing that back and we start placing other things ahead of it, right? Because, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So what actually might end up happening is that we say these things that we want connection with, and then we say, and then we start putting things ahead of connecting with people, and then we start actually feeling a little bit guilty about it. And then we start using those things to connect with people, right? We might be using our job in some way, or something that we're maybe volunteering to say connect with people, but really we're not creating this genuine connection. There's a connection with an agenda, right? Or maybe it's distractions. We've got distractions all around. We've got phones, we've got iPads, we've got Netflix, we've got romantic relationships and interests. They're super distracting, right? You know how it is. It's distracting, man. We say we want genuine connection, and it's important to us. I don't know if it's on the slide. Is it next, Luke? Yeah, there we go. We say we want to have genuine connection, and it's important, and we want to make it a priority. I mean, sometimes we get it worked up, and we suddenly go, man, I need to make these connections. I need to start genuine relationship with the people that are around me. You know what? I'm inspired. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then what happens? We wake up the next day, or it's a couple of days later, we've maybe started those connections, and then it kind of fizzles out. Nothing really happens from it. And this fascinated me a lot, especially in New Zealand. It's quite interesting. I don't know if you've read any statistics or anything like that. I did. I nerded out a little bit. It was actually a lot of fun. I did some math after a long, long time. I had Walter help me. Really bad. But I read some statistics around in New Zealand about loneliness and connection. All right, and it's really sad because it's actually getting worse. This loneliness factor in New Zealand, it's getting worse. It's increasing, but it's weird because people are actually more connected, right? But it's actually the fact that people aren't connecting. It's not the fact that people aren't connecting. It's that the method of connecting isn't really working. All right. So this is some of the things that I found out. Spooks, do you want to go to the next slide? Here we go. 15 to 24-year-olds. All right. at least once a week, all right, have face-to-face contact once a week, face-to-face, with their family, 56.4%. All right? That's the people that took the survey. I don't know how many people took the survey, but 56.4% of the people had face-to-face between the ages of 15 to 24 contact with their family. And then face-to-face contact with their friends was 76.3%. All right? That's once a week looking at you and having a conversation with you. Right? Then we go to the next slide, and it says non-face-to-face contact. 15 to 24-year-olds, non-face-to-face contact. That means messenger. I don't know if people write letters anymore. I feel like they don't. Emails, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Non-face-to-face contact was 73%. That was with family. And then with friends, it was 93.6%. That's ridiculous. So the amount of people that were in this age group that took this survey, 93.6% of them. Yeah. Sorry, I should have made that a little bit clearer. Sorry. 93.6% of them, the ones that took the survey, right? Non-face-to-face contact, Messenger, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. That's crazy. We go to the next slide. Same thing, 25 to 34-year-olds. That's hitting a lot of us right now. Face-to-face contact with family was 62%. And with friends, it was 76.3%. And then non-face-to-face with family was 88%. Because, we got family, we got kids, we got all that kind of stuff. And then 86.5% non-face-to-face contact. That's huge numbers, right? Then we look at this loneliness factor, right? So there was another survey done on loneliness, and it says this. I'm going to read it from here. So there was 139,000 people that took this survey from 15 to 24-year-olds, 159,000, okay? About 58,000 of them have said that they feel lonely all the time. That's 41.73%, okay? And if we take the entire population of those kids between just that age, 15 to 24-year-olds, the stats from New Zealand, some group did it, it's about 602,293 young people between this age, okay? Just in New Zealand. 41% of that means that 251,337 people between the ages of 15 to 24 feel lonely all the time. 32% of people, which the 25 to 34-year-olds, 132,000 of them took the survey. 32% of them, 32.58% of them said that they felt lonely all the time, which is about 43,000 of that survey. 64 to 74-year-olds, 61,000 of them took the survey. 23,000 of them had said that they feel lonely all the time. 37.7%. Isn't this interesting? A little bit confusing. I don't know if I'm doing a great job in explaining it. I can blame Walter for the math. I'm kidding, don't. But isn't it a little worrying as well? Those are not low numbers. Those are quite high numbers. Non-face-to-face contact is incredibly high. Social media, Messenger, Instagram, and it's huge in the 15 to 24-year-olds, which actually makes up a lot of our population at Gracegate. So even though there's still connection, even though there's that platform to connect with people, there are still 251,337 young people, or 41% of them, that feel lonely all the time. All the time. Not just some of the time, not just like once a week. All the time. This lack of genuine connection doesn't just affect our social life, right? It starts to filter into other areas of life. It starts to affect our mental health, right? We've seen depression rates rise in New Zealand. It starts to affect our jobs, the way that we do our jobs sometimes. It starts to affect our thought processing. It starts to affect the way that we view ourselves. And then it also starts to affect the way or what we believe. It starts to affect that what we believe, not just about ourselves, but actually about God as well. And about our relationship with Him and His relationship with us individually. I don't know if that's true, but for some of us that have been on the faith journey and have some sort of relationship with God, our issue is that we can actually become complacent when we're not prioritizing a genuine connection. We can start to become complacent because we're connected at church, right? We go to church on a Saturday or a Sunday. We're in the community. We're doing things. We maybe volunteer a couple of times. I don't really need to connect all the time with God because I'm connecting, at church all the time. It's okay. I can kind of be a little slack sometimes. So we become a little bit complacent. Or maybe if we're kind of starting out, or we're not so sure about it, or even actually we might be traveling along with God for a really long time, we can actually start to become skeptical, right? We can start to be a little skeptical of whether or not this connection that people talk about with God is actually something that God wants with us, right? Because if I can't have a connection with people, a genuine connection with people, even in this super incredibly connected world, and I still feel lonely, then surely and actually most definitely, I won't be able to connect with a God who I can't even see. I can't even see this God, so how can I connect with Him? He's got no Instagram handle. He's got no Facebook page. Maybe for some of us, we're actually at this point where we're saying, well, it seems like God doesn't want to try and connect with me. Why should I try? I'm here praying, right? And I don't even believe in Him. Maybe some of us are doing that. We do that little thing where we go, God, I'm not too sure I believe in you, but I'm here praying anyway. I'm here praying anyway, and man, there's no connection. Why is that? I feel like I'm getting nothing. And it's a little bit sad, a little bit disheartening. But then we look at a book in the Bible. It's called a Gospel of Luke. It's written by this man called Luke. And he was a doctor. And he traveled around basically interviewing and speaking to all these different people that witnessed Jesus in his life and the things that he spoke about and the things that occurred during his lifetime. And he documents this all around so that we now can look at it and read it and go, wow, this is amazing, right? And so in Luke 14, he documents this story that Jesus speaks to the Pharisees, okay? So to give you guys a little bit of context, he's having dinner with these Pharisees and the experts of the law, all right? They were there for other reasons. They were there to try and get Jesus into trouble and find a reason as to why they should try and kill him, right? Jesus was there just because, there was a feed going on and also to chat with them, of course. And then Jesus shares this parable, and it's found in Luke 14, and he says this, all right? So Jesus replied, "A certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests." He doesn't specify how many guests. He doesn't even specify the reason as to why there is a banquet going on. The host of this banquet, this great man, or this certain man, sorry, just put on a banquet, just put on a dinner because he could. All right? There was no reason for it. It goes on and he says this, "At the time of the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who had been invited, 'Come, for now everything is ready,' or for everything is now ready." So he invites all these people. He then sends out a reminder on the day, "Hey, come, the party's still on. I want to connect with you guys. Come with me." Right? And then something interesting happens. We go to the next slide and it says, "But they all alike began to make excuses." All right? And it goes on and it says this. "The first said, 'I have just bought a field and I must go and see it, so please excuse me.' All right? I've just bought a piece of land. It's quite nice. I haven't had really that time to check it out, but I'm going to go check it out, right? So I can't come. The second one says this. Another said, I have just bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I'm on my way to try it out. Please excuse me. Oh, I bought, this thing that I put on the oxen to plow my fields and things like that. Please excuse me. All right. And the third one, he's a little bit smarter. He says this. He says, still another, I just got married, so I can't come. I just got married. I can't come. I'm connecting with my wife. Genuine connection right there. I'm not going to come to this party that you have put out. Right? In all 3 of these examples, we see what they value. We see in the first 2, the guys valuing material things and possessions, right? Things that showcase their wealth or increase their wealth. And then the third guy was a little bit cunning. He blamed it on his wife. He said that, oh man, I can't go because I've just been newly married. I'm going to decline it because I'm going to decline your invitation to a banquet to connect because I'm going to be connecting with my wife. But I can guarantee you they were on the couch watching Netflix. Maybe a trashy show. I don't know. Right? In each of these circumstances, each of these excuses that they use, we see what the guests value. And what they value is themselves greater than connection. What they actually value. And Bree actually shared this with me, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. They actually valued building their own kingdom greater than genuine connection. They valued themselves higher than connecting with people. Because we know that the host, there's no reason as to why he put this banquet out, right? There's no reason as to why he said, hey, I'm inviting you guys here because I've actually got a political agenda. I want to actually chat with this person, and I don't want to do it like alone because it's kind of dodge. So I'm going to invite a whole bunch of people so I can get a political foothold. Or I'm inviting this person so, I don't know, I can showcase how great my wealth is. Or some brown nosing. Or, I don't know, just trying to get a foothold of some kind. There's no reason. And so we can assume that the reason is to just connect. Connect with them. And I want to challenge us, and I want to challenge us in saying this. Aren't we like this at times? Where we value ourselves and what we gain and how much status we have, how many likes we have, what we have, who we can impress. How can I gain a foothold over someone so that I have power over them? Over genuine connections and friendships and relationships. Sometimes that sounds super malicious, and sometimes it's not even that malicious. But don't we do that? Maybe, and this is a little bit sad, sometimes we use our jobs. Maybe we work with people. We work with people all the time, and we start using our jobs as an excuse to connect with people. Hey, I'm connecting with someone. I went for coffee with them, right? I'm connecting with them. But your mind is somewhere else. You're focusing on other things or how you can impress them or what you can gain from them. That's a connection with an agenda, right? Don't we do this sometimes? And so this is what I want us to walk away knowing today. All right? If everything else you forget, know this, that there is an invitation for genuine connection that is extended to us. There's an invitation for genuine connection that is extended towards us. We have the choice. We have the choice whether we want to accept it or ignore it, focusing solely on ourselves. We have that choice. Because then Jesus continues the story and not wanting to waste the opportunity, okay? This is what happens. The servant comes back after all these people have made these excuses, and he reports this this bad news that none of his people that he's invited to his master. All right, and then the next slide it goes, and he says this. Then the owner of the house became angry. Right, kind of normal. Get upset. And ordered his servant to do this. Go out quickly into the streets and the alleys of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. Bring them all in. It doesn't matter. Just bring them all in. Invite them. I'm not going to waste this opportunity on people that don't want to connect with me, so I'm going to connect with everyone. Genuine connection. Come with me. Invite them all. And so the servant does this. In the next slide, he goes, Sir, the servant said, what you have ordered has been done, but there is still room. At this point, the host could say, well, look, I've actually filled up most of my house. It's all good. I've got my genuine connection fill. I'm done. Forget about it. But he says this. He goes on, he says, and the master told his servant, go out to the roads and the country lanes and compel them to come. That means convince them severely to come and join me at this party. Get them to come. Bring them. So that my house will be full. My house will be full of people that I can connect with. And so what we see is people that wouldn't necessarily be invited, being invited. People that would have been ignored and cast aside, invited to connect. And actually people that would have every excuse to deny something like this. Because these are the people that would have been on the streets working all day, every day, just to survive. Right? They sacrificed that time to go and connect. So people that had every reason to deny this genuine connection, to decline and say, nah, I actually have work to do because my work is actually vital for me to survive. I'm going to decline. What we see is they say, okay, cool, I'm coming. Here we go. Let's have a party. And then right at the end, the host says this. And it sounds a little bit savage, okay? But I don't read it that way. I think he's a little bit heartbroken, actually. Because he says this, I tell you, not one of those who were invited will get a taste of my banquet. It sounds savage, right? If you say it in a really angry tone, anything sounds savage. But I think he's actually a little bit upset. And I think what he's saying is this. Sorry, I'm just lost my notes. What I think Jesus is communicating in this is this sadness of the host, saying, the ones that I've invited, I've missed out a word, never. Anyway. The ones that were invited, that have declined, they will continue to decline as long as they value their own kingdom greater than genuine connection. As long as they continue to value what is most important to them, what foothold they can gain, what they can gain through an agenda of connecting, as long as they continue to do that, then they will continue to deny my invitation to just connect. And they will continue to deny connecting genuinely with other people. And to be honest, this parable is a little confronting. Well, at least it is for me. When I was going through this and preparing for it, it was super confronting to me. Because it's a little sad to say, but sometimes I've fallen into that rut. We get into getting used to like doing the whole motions of connecting with people all the time and all that kind of stuff, and then it just kind of, it's like, oh, I have to do it. And I think if we come to that place and we're not really genuinely connecting with people, man, that is not a place that we want to be. And I feel like that's not a place that God wants us to be. Because what we can see in the two groups is the first group that denied, they were complacent with their relationship. They valued themselves, right? And we can identify with that sometimes. We value things greater than connecting with people, genuine connection, and building their own kingdom. And then we can also be the second group, where we say, you know what, we've got a ton of things to do. Life is hectic. There's craziness going around in the world and just in my own world. But I'm going to put all of that aside, and I'm going to connect with you, genuinely connect with you, look you in the eye, have a conversation with you, and connect with you, love you, right? And I think we have a choice. We can be either two of those groups. We can decline it or we can accept it. We can choose to put aside, not ignore, but put aside what we're going through to genuinely connect with someone that might need our connection. Or we can say, nah, I got so many things going on, I can't. Or, all right, let's connect, but I'm not really there. Right? So I want to challenge us. I want to challenge us to this. All right? There's a two-part challenge. The first is the God side. We'll get that out of the way. For those of us who've been doing life and journeying with God, I actually want us to reflect. And I want us to ask ourselves, are we accepting the invitation to constantly connect with God in a genuine way? Or are we, or have we become complacent with that? Are we choosing to focus on ourselves? Are we choosing to focus on our own kingdom and building our own kingdom? Or are we focusing on actually connecting? Right? And that genuine connection that's being offered to us. For those of us that might be a little more skeptical about it, a little bit, I'm not too sure how I feel. That's okay. That's all good, actually. But I want to challenge you. What if you accepted it? Just try it. What if you just tried it? Accepted that invitation for genuine connection with God? You might be surprised at who comes to the banquet. Right? And the second part is this. Regardless of whether we believe in God, okay, we all can do this. I want us to pursue genuine connection with each other. I want us to pursue that because it is a pursuit. I want us to imagine for a moment, okay, if just in our little community, we decided each and every person that was sitting next to us, behind us, in front of us, that we would put aside what was going on. We were putting aside building our own kingdoms to actually genuinely connect with one another. To put down our phones and look at someone in the face and go, hello, how are you? To genuinely connect with them. Imagine what that would look like. Imagine then if we extended that to our universities or our workplaces or our schools or people outside of this community. Imagine the change that could actually happen. And you know what? It's actually going to make us super uncomfortable at times. It's going to take us into conversations and into places that are going to challenge us massively. But I think those are the places that we want to be in, especially if we're truly wanting to connect with people. If we're truly wanting to make this community a place where anyone can come. Right? There's a quote by Bob Goff in his book, Everybody Always. And I think it's awesome. And it says this: loving people, so a genuine connection with people, loving them the way Jesus did means being constantly misunderstood. It means some of the times when we love on people, it's not going to make any sense whatsoever. People are going to look at us and go, why are you connecting with those people? Makes no sense. Right? And then he continues and he says, people who are becoming love, pursuing that genuine connection, accepting that invitation to connect to God, to people. People who are becoming love don't care. All right? They don't care. And then the next slide it says, they will do whatever it takes to reach those that are hurting. And we know there are a lot of people hurting. There are a lot of people that are lonely. There's a lot of people that are struggling with a whole bunch of different things. Life is difficult. Are we willing, okay? Are we willing to do whatever it takes to reach those people that are hurting? Are we willing to do what it takes to genuinely connect and love on people? It might mean that we are misunderstood, but we wouldn't care because we know the impact that it could make could be unfathomable. Great word. In the best way. All right. So let's leave today with the mindset of pursuing a genuine connection with people. Loving people in a way that makes people think that we might actually be a little bit crazy. All right? Let me pray. We can finish off. Dear God, I just pray for all of us here, for all of us that aren't here as well. God, I know that it's sometimes incredibly difficult, especially in our world today where connection is actually quite easy, but genuinely connecting with people is a little more difficult. We've got a lot of people in our community and in New Zealand and in the world that are hurting, that are lonely, that feel a disconnect from their peers and people around them. God, I actually just pray that for us here today in this community, that we pursue a genuine connection with people, that we pursue relentlessly loving people in a way that might seem crazy, but it's actually absolutely fantastic. God, I just pray that you give us the strength and the courage to do so, because it's not going to be easy. Lord, I just pray that you be with us as we continue to love people and connect with people in a way that is, fantastic. I pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.